Yo, 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 what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Nate the Great coming at you with another live. You already know if you're new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. So all the returning friends and family, you already know it's peace and blessings. I'm gonna give y'all some time to tune in. Oh, not gonna be on here too crazy. Just wanted to do a quick check-in for those who was just on the previous apologies. I still don't know what the hell is going on with vertical on my end, but yeah. But for those who was just in the recent stream, appreciate y'all. Um First things first, hopefully everybody having a blessed and productive Wednesday. I know for a lot of you, especially those out of state, kids about to be out of school if they're not out of school already. For those in New York, we know the kids will be out in the next 2 weeks or so. A lot of graduations. Congratulations to the graduating classes of 2026. You know, hopefully y'all keep, you know, reaching for higher expectations of life. Hopefully you will develop the mindset and the skills to be productive citizens in life. And just look forward to the next chapter. I know it's been a minute. I know it's been a little minute since I've been on. I just felt like I wanted to do a quick pop up. I haven't done a pop up like this in a minute, but appreciate everybody that tuned in to the last live stream. We definitely had a great talk, great conversation. Angela, baby. For those who was just on the previous stream, again, I don't know what's going on with vertical, and this is a whole new device. So I don't know if it's something with the settings or it is what it is at this point. So for those celebrating birthdays this week and this upcoming weekend, I know it's Gemini season. May God bless you with another year and another blessing around the sun. Um, if you're able to breathe and if you're able to wake up and see another year, give your praises where it's due. Um, Keep creating and enjoying every moment of life. But for those who might have missed the replay of the last live, it's in there. You definitely catch the replay. As y'all approach y'all summers, and now I'm speaking to those in the city. As you approach the summertime, for some of y'all that have been aware, especially within the five boroughs, we've been having a multitude of different fires in different apartment complexes. To be quite honest, the worst thing you could do is leave any form of bulky garbage lying around anywhere within the vicinity of the building because you got some people who are that bored and that content on causing mayhem that nobody wants to be, you know, leaving out or possibly having to move out their apartment or being displaced because of a fire. Um, yeah, we've been having some fires lately throughout the boroughs, especially in Brooklyn, and it's scary, especially in them high rises, because again, it don't take long for smoke to just rise up in the building. And in any situation, it could have been something major. It could have been multiple people getting hurt. Some of y'all got to realize that again, there are families who live right in them same complexes. You got older folks who might be disabled and can't get out and about like that unless they got some form of assistance. It could be a situation where they could be having a health crisis, and if you decide to just spark a fire, you putting everybody in the jam right now. I would advise the people who do live in them complexes to really start paying attention and you know, start thinking about the overall safety of not just yourself, the people around you. But it's also important again for some of y'all residents to move your garbage in the designated areas. So again, you don't have these problems, you know, because again, nobody wants to be getting displaced out of their apartments just because again somebody decided they bored and they want to set a fire, or you might have a crazy person that's moving around, you know. And that's the thing again. You starting fires and you got people that live in these apartments. If somebody was unaware and comes out their apartment, especially if they got kids, all that backdraft is coming straight to them. At some point, again, you got to start caring about the place that you live, the place that you rest your head. Yes, the groundskeepers are getting paid to do what they're supposed to be doing, but it's also, again, a part of the community and the people that live in that building to try to keep certain things under wraps. Okay, if you got bulky garbage that need to go out, take it out at a certain time. If you might need assistance, try to get somebody to help you with that. Don't just leave it there. Because again, you know, I'm not going to solely blame the young ones for starting some of the madness. No, you got some adults who are just as crazy and will do anything, especially if they don't care or value about anything. I feel I feel that the other day we had a fire that was down the block from where I. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to be careful. I mean, nowadays, you know, it's understandable if you need assistance trying to get certain things out, whether it's out your house or out the building in particular. But still, leaving bulky garbage where somebody could possibly spark a fire, you know, that's dangerous right there. And again, like with the one situation, that family was coming out their damn house and got nothing but backdraft hitting them. It's sad when you got to bust open windows just to let out all that smoke. Because again, you got to think about it. It don't take long for something to catch fire, and then now you got a cloud full of smoke. Nobody should have to walk out or worry about breathing in toxic fumes because somebody decided to be an asshole and wanted to put people in danger, or because they was having a bad day. Uh, Somebody else got to feel the same pain they feel. Again, you got to think about the people that are around you. Again, people could have lost their lives, or people could have been severely injured and burnt up. You got to think about it. For those who live in the boroughs, for those that live in the buildings, again, at some point, y'all got to do y'all got to do y'all fair share as well too. Yes, again, the groundskeepers are getting paid to do their jobs during the day, but when they leave, it's up to the people in the nighttime, and that's the people that live there to try to keep their situation intact. Again, bring all your bulky garbage in the designated areas. Like come on now. I mean, like it and then again, stop leaving stuff out there that is flammable. Wood is flammable. Mattresses flammable, and that's another thing. If you got mattresses you need to get rid of them. Stop leaving them there. You don't know how much danger it really is breathing in all of that smoke. I was in a situation just like that to a degree. Fire done took place and rose up to the high floor. You'd have thought it started on the high floor and it didn't. Riaz, what's going on, my guy? But again, it don't take that much for a fire to really catch, and again, you don't know who live on these floors. You don't know if these people are physically disabled, mentally disabled. You don't know if these people suffer from certain health complications like emphysema or something along those lines, COPD. Like, come on, there, putting people in real danger you know, and you making it become a danger zone because you got to think about it. These fires still cause damage, whether you believe that or not, to the infrastructure. So if at any time they really have to come and put fires out on a regular, that's a problem. Didi baby. If y'all just tuned in, make sure y'all hit that like button. Again, I would advise those in those areas to really start again thinking about your health, thinking about your safety, and thinking about the safety of others. You gotta think about it. If you got people in that area that you know have even like infant babies, that's putting the babies in danger. You know, this is a sad thing because it's always near this time you start getting all of these wildfires out of nowhere. Again, for those people who live in these complexes, if you need help trying to get certain things out and about, try to get the help that you can. Don't just leave your garbage or don't just leave bulky items in an area where it could possibly start a fire or it could possibly be a health danger. I mean, my fault, a safety hazard. I've seen some situations where there's stuff just sitting in the stairwells, and it's like, how lazy could you possibly be? Oh, well, they gonna come do it. They get paid to do it anyway. Yes, again, they do. But in the same token, when they clock out for the day, it's up to the people in that damn residence to make sure that everything is copacetic. You know, this is what I'm saying all in all, though. You know, regardless to where you at, you should take a little bit more pride in the areas that you reside in, the places that you rest your head in. Because again, all it takes is one simple moment and everything could go up in flames. And as we've been seeing lately within these five boroughs, it's not just the fires. Oh, another thing for those that's in the boroughs, those that might be traveling by train or by bus, start being more aware of your surroundings because it's been crazy out here. Dagmar, baby. Everything good, sis. Everything good. Yeah, I know it's been a minute. I know. It's been about 2 weeks. I know. I ain't been here. I know. Appreciate you, sis. You already. You know, this is what I'm saying though. No matter what your location is, no matter where you may be traveling in the city right now, make sure you are paying attention to your surroundings because we done had an incident where somebody got stabbed on the train. We done had an incident where a guy done got pistol whipped for a phone. Like it's starting to get dangerous again. Black Beauty, baby. What's going on, sis? I see y'all up in here. But again, you know, for those that might be traveling by train or by bus, you know, whether it's during the daytime or even if it's late in the evening, just again, be mindful of your surroundings. And, you know, if you need to try to get some form of assistance because you feel like you're in danger, then don't hesitate to do so. And in other events, if you have to do what's necessary to protect yourself, then you do so. But I would say still just be aware of your surroundings because you know some of these people, trust me, they do not care about anybody as far as they safety is concerned. You got some people out there who they are crazy, you know, and others just pure evil. Um, while I was gone, I was hearing a lot of different things. Like I believe they found one of the boys, or I believe they found the boys that shot the 5 year old. And there was another thing because again, how wild and reckless could you be that you would sit here and be shooting and not looking at where you shooting at? You ain't even know that you could have possibly ended somebody's life. And this is another problem. Again, you know, it's time to start trying to bring back the awareness, especially to these young ones, because some of them are still following the same path and destructive cycle. There is no respawn on your life. Once you're gone, you're gone. That family's broken, people gonna be hurt behind it. Close friends are definitely not gonna take it well. Some of y'all have so much to give, but in the same token, y'all don't value life at all. Some of y'all think it's a curse to live past 25. And again, it's sad because you out here, quote unquote, trying to shoot at people you saying is your opposition. When some of y'all either related by family marriage, by blood, some of y'all just close knitting and came up in the same backgrounds. You went from being the best of friends to now you're enemies. And a lot of that has to deal with, again, some of the street gang activity. Because there's no way you could tell me you felt comfortable just shooting recklessly and not even realizing you could have took a 5-year-old up out of here. Now, see, again, when you have some of these young ones who are out here doing certain things, yeah, they need to be held accountable to the fullest extent. It's time to start holding accountability again. And for some of the parents who are allowing it or just not doing nothing about it, y'all should be held accountable as well. You know, some of y'all have a lot to offer, but the thing is, y'all don't know what it is you have to offer. Because the only thing some of y'all know is what's going on in the street, what you being taught in the street, or what you done learned on a lot of these platforms, or and it's like, again, it's follow the leader. Now, what would have happened if that young girl would have lost her life? God forbid. All of y'all would have had to eat that spiritually, because again, you just was a part of an innocent bystander getting taken up out of here because you want to shoot recklessly. And then another thing I want to say is how some of y'all again are just y'all really think that the sagging pants is the move, when again at some point you won't put yourself out there. Like, prime example, I believe they caught the boy who initially did this shot. And the thing is, you made yourself obvious. You got your pants sagging and your boxes. You wearing colorful boxes, bro. That's the first thing a person saw as soon as the news came on. It's like, wait a minute, what? Like, what's going on here? See, again, for some of y'all, you wonder why you're not getting the respect you think you deserve. It's because you're not trying to respect yourself. You know, you should have enough knowledge and enough understanding to know that, again, the only way some of these cycles will be broken is if y'all stop the madness. I mean, I feel like this. If a person hasn't done anything that would constitute you having that type of an issue with them, why not just have conflict resolution? I'm from the era where if words didn't help and couldn't see eye to eye when it came down to the conversation, then yeah, we would have to go out there and set the laws the physical way. And then even after that, if we didn't come to even a conclusion there, then all right, mortal enemy, cool. But in most cases, certain things can be rectified with a overall conversation, a cool, calm-headed conversation. That's it. You know, not everything has to lead to violence, especially when it comes down to the weapons. I don't have to. Again, it's sad that in the era that we in right now, you know, it's almost impossible to not say, well, damn, I gotta carry a weapon with me just in case. But see, this is the thing though. Again, how could y'all be oppositions when some of y'all was close knit, especially your families might be close knit? You end up doing something to somebody for what? Or you end up trying to do something to somebody and that backfires. Then what? That phrase about a bullet don't have a name on it, it speaks in volumes. Because in that situation right there, whoever your intended target was, you didn't do nothing, but you ended up hitting somebody that wasn't even in the mix of nothing. Again, it's a sad thought when the people don't take into consideration that your consequences are coming. Your actions, especially on that level, will have severe consequences that you're going to have to answer to. When it comes down to the protection of the youngest of the young, they shouldn't have to worry about losing their life due to senseless gun violence on a day-to-day basis. At what point do some of y'all say, put the weapons down and, put the weapons down? Because in the long run, nobody wins. And that's truth right there. Nobody wins in that situation right there. All you get is broken families and the what could have been. See, like prime example, I knew a girl who lost her life a couple years ago, wasn't even 15 years old yet. But because of the people she was hanging with, because of the trouble that she was getting into, especially being associated with those people, she basically got unalived in a fight. And the sad part was the people who honestly could have stopped it, they didn't. So again, just imagine. So I said it's important that we teach the blueprint. And that's the saddest thing though, again, because, you know, you're not expecting your child to be out and about and then not come home. That's a parent's worst fear is their child not coming home. In some cases, it's sad because you got some parents that don't care if their child come home or not. It is a sad reality, but in some cases, it is true. Some people are irresponsible when it comes down to what they teach their kids and what they really instilling in their kids. But it comes a point when again, you're gonna be held responsible. Some of you parents will be held responsible or end up paying the consequences for what your children are doing. Prime example, couple nights back, situation almost unfolded. And this is another thing. For some of you who are not being aware of what your children are doing, especially on these late nights, I'm gonna say this for the mothers out there and fathers too. Some of y'all better get your daughters, man. If your daughter is hanging out all hours of the night, especially if they still in high school or even in junior high, you better get them. They shouldn't be out all hours of the night. There's no way at 3:30 in the morning you are out and about looking like you either trying to get into something or you just casually hanging. And you could tell that he was young because just by the movements, you could tell when these is young ones when they moving around like they still on the playground or something. The the consistent screaming and hollering like something was happening. And that's another thing. Y'all gotta teach y'all daughters to stop screaming a certain way because there are people who think that there's something happening, especially when they consistently doing that. Cops could have pulled their asses right on over because again, you're screaming like something is happening to you and you just joking around with your friends. Yes, but when you are screaming like you are being attacked, that's a problem right there. I spoke about that one time before. But again, some of y'all need to make sure your daughters are safe and sound somewhere in the vicinity. When your kids say they going over to these people's houses, make sure that's where they're going. And I would say that even with the young ones to the young boys too. Make sure they going where they supposed to be going. See, again, from the era where parents would be making the phone calls necessary. Listen, my child said they coming over here. Is this true? Angela, don't hate. Don't hate. Coffee break. Dagmar, pass me that coffee, baby. But this is all I'm saying though. Um, again, you would make the necessary calls. Listen, my child said that you supposed to be whatever. And if that parent didn't know anything about that, then look, you already knew what it was. Pussy baby. I hear you, Dagmar. No, I mean, but come on now. It was literally like that. You couldn't sit here and tell your parents you was going to this one's house. And then when they made that call and come to find out that it wasn't true, like, come on now. You know you was going to get it when you came back. You knew you was going to get it. So again, accountability is the thing now. You need to start bringing that back. But also have to start bringing back safe parents. And again, your children is under a certain age. Unless they got a part-time job or unless they involved in some form of extracurricular activities, some of y'all need to make sure your children is in the crib by a certain time. Because again, you don't know what could be happening at these times of the night. And 9 out of 10, it ain't gonna be nothing good. And for some of y'all, I say to make sure y'all get the young ladies in check because God forbid if something happens to them on on a real bad tip. Who's to say God forbid they don't get kidnapped? Who's to say God forbid they don't get sexually attacked? Who's to say if they don't come home at all? Because there are people out there, and a lot of them are not even runaways. They're not. Now you expect the runaways to be out all hours of the night or just be whatever, but when you got these ones who got either single or two-parent households, or if they coming from a decent background, why you need to be out all hours of the night for? What are you looking for? There's nothing but trouble, especially that late in the evening. And again, it's important. It's really important that you know y'all really start doing the necessary work. Some of y'all need to again stop trying to be friends with your kids. Set the boundaries, set those curfews like you're supposed to, because again, it's for the betterment of them. You gotta think about it. Some of the children who have, or some of the young ones who have been victims of those circumstances, look where they at now to a degree. You know, you don't want it to be, you thought your child was with some close friends, and come to find out they was either somewhere else they wasn't supposed to be, or they was with those friends and those friends left them on stuff. See, again, you have to be careful. You know, just like I was saying earlier, prime example about the fires. Hey, you got to be careful with the stuff you leaving out, because again, anybody could mess around and get themselves hurt. That's just like with some of y'all, you leaving broken, like if you got glass mirrors or things along those lines where it's chipped or shards, clean up behind yourself. Again, when you know there's things that need to go out, bring it outside. You know, and yeah, back to this situation at hand, because the other night, like I said, these young girls you can tell they're young. But again, they shouldn't be out there no 3, 4 in the morning, not when in school the following day. And you could tell again, just by the immaturity level, like, yeah, these is young ones. But the way that you were screaming and hollering, you'd have thought there was a issue going on. At one point, the cops started flashing their lights. So that should tell you something. Some of y'all gotta just, make sure that these ones is in the house safe. And the excuse about, oh, some of these parents don't know, some of these parents are overworked. And I mean, I'm not saying that is not truth to that. But in other cases, no. If only one of the parents is working and the other one ain't, you supposed to still be making sure your child is on point, regardless to what. Fathers, you really better start getting involved when it comes down to both your sons and your daughters. Because again, like I said, 14, 15, you should be in the house at this time. Nobody should be out at 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning. No, you should be trying to get the adequate rest, or they should be trying to get the adequate rest, especially, well, I'm going to say, I know outside of this state, I know a lot of the kids are out of school now. A lot of the kids is graduating. But even during the summertime, you need to find something to do and keep them active, but it also keep them motivated and focused on doing something better. Ripping and running in the streets all hours of the night ain't doing nothing. Trying to be grown before your time ain't doing nothing. The most it's doing is putting strain on you. And again, as a parent or as a guardian, you need to make sure again that your child or the people that you are being a guardian over, again, respect boundaries and rules. This is why boundaries and rules was put in place. See, the problem right now is so many people giving too much leniency to these young ones. But again, how do you expect them to learn anything or grasp anything or even learn about things like accountability when not taking the necessary steps? I was just having this conversation with one of my coworkers the other day. I said, man, listen, some of these ones don't even know how good they got it, because again, let me would have been 14 or 13 and still out past 11, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Who knows what I would have been getting myself into? 9 out of 10, I would have probably been another victim of circumstance. And I wasn't coming from a bad background, but shoot, let me would have been able to really been out. But see, when you have parents who are not so much strict, but they really have boundaries placed and set. Gotta respect it. Again, you living up under my roof. You not paying no rent. You not doing nothing or contributing towards. So if I put a curfew in place, you should respect that curfew. If you have a problem with that curfew, go find somewhere else to go. And guess what? You'll find out it's not going to be as easy. And we learned those lessons the hard way in some cases. In other cases, we didn't have to learn that lesson. All it took was one good time. And we knew not to tread that water again. So, just those things you got to think about. Hold on one second. But this is all I'm saying, y'all. Again, as we are approaching the summer, um, try to do the best that you can to keep yourself and keep your family safe as well. Because, like, especially again in the city, it's too much going on. There's been stabbings on the train recently. There's been multiple fires in different areas, and it's like again, there's a lot of different things. We can't predict what's going to happen, but in some tokens and in some cases, is you just got to be aware of your surroundings. If something don't seem right, you got to act on it. But again, I would advise those who need to hear it, especially for those who have the young ones. Um, it's time to start placing boundaries and start placing those curfews in effect. Because again, you don't want it to get to a point where now it's going to become a national thing. Like, nah, 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 nah. Because again, like, what is a 12-year-old doing out past midnight, past 1 o'clock? What is a 14-year-old doing out that late? You know, what is anybody that's under the age of 17 and over? Like anything that's under 17, like I said, if you ain't working a job or if you ain't doing something as far as an extracurricular activity, what are you out so late for? Because again, you putting yourself in danger, and then you also putting your parents at risk. You putting your parents at risk of losing a child and also just bearing that burden. This is why I said in some cases, the adults have to really start, you know, laying the groundwork again. The reason why some of these young ones feel they can say and do whatever the people is because look at how some of the adults is doing things. You can't expect a child to learn any form of respect when you disrespecting any and everybody. And I mean, you just constant profanity or trying to call them out their character. You can't expect them to learn anything, and you teaching them all the wrong things that shouldn't be taught. You need to teach them respect because again, respect goes a long way. You can't get nowhere far in this world without some form of respect. And once you realize that, trust me, you'll gain the respect that's deserved. And that's the thing. Again, you got some people who be trying to help them, and they will kindly curse them out. Or, oh, you can't tell me shit, and oh, f you, and it's like if we trying to help you out with certain things, why give us an attitude about it? These are things that people need to really think about and consider. You know, as a parent and as a guardian, you are responsible for those that you taking care of. And if something happens, that burden and that blame and that guilt is going to fall on you, the parent or the guardian, because again, you could have eventually stopped something terrible from happening, or you could have possibly stopped them for making a critical mistake. And again, you gotta think about it. When these young ones is placed in these type of heavy positions, shoot, 9 out of 10, they gonna be leading down the road to jail or leading down the road to something that they ain't gonna be able to come back from. Like again, you need to be making sure that they not following the wrong type of people. Again, we was from the era where we knew each other's parents, we knew each other's family members, we knew people who knew people. Again, some of y'all parents need to make sure you are vetting out your children's friends because some of your children's friends might be into grown up stuff that you're not teaching your child or that you don't want your child to be taught. Mountain girl, baby. What's going on, sis? Appreciate you. Like I said, I just wanted to do a quick little pop in tonight. Like, I really want to give out this, important message again, especially for those that live in New York City. Um, the fires have been out of control, and again, you can't just blame one person for starting the madness. You know, again, you gotta think about it. If you the one that's leaving the bulk garbage in these areas that it shouldn't be left in, expect somebody to do something stupid at some point. And that's again, or expect somebody to just not care. Again, be responsible for your area, be responsible for cleaning and trying to keep your area clean, especially when the groundskeepers is off. And that's for anybody in any damn complex, not just in the city. Again, anybody could just decide, oh, I'm bored, I'm gonna start a fire. And the idle mind will create all forms of devilment. Like again, there was one person who I'm bored, I'm bored. And then come to find out, you know, you didn't even have to do all of that. You could have just went out. You could have just went out. And that's the thing. You know, this is all I'm saying. Again, just think about the other people and think about their safety. Just because you might be having a bad day or just because you might be going through something, that don't mean everybody has to suffer the same pain that you're suffering. But I'm gonna also say this too. Again, it goes down to the people who live in these residences. Like, take your garbage out. If you got bulky garbage that need to go outside, get some help and take it outside. Don't leave it in areas where somebody could decide, well, you know what? Let me start doing this. Or you know what? I'm gonna do this. Come on now. No doubt, Mountain Girl. Appreciate you, baby. Like I said, I know I popped in late, but I just want to pop in on the people. But I mostly wanted to give this because while I was gone, yes, I was hearing a lot of different things. And again, you know, it's about your safety overall. And some of y'all putting yourselves and others in danger when you decide not to discard the bulky garbage that need to go out. Again, you might have somebody that don't care. You can have a drug addict that don't care. You can have kids that don't care or just being reckless. You can have grown-ups again being reckless. Take all of the stuff that you need to take out outside so we can avoid those type of fires and those type of complexes. Because again, when there's young children involved and elderly folks involved and disabled people involved, you're putting them in the worst type of scenarios that again could be dangerous or could be fatal. It's about having common courtesy for others. And if you're gonna live in the same areas, then y'all need to come together and make sure y'all doing the right things to keep your areas intact. Nobody shouldn't again have to worry about being displaced because of a fire. Nobody should have to worry about possibly having to move out completely just because, of all the damage that was done. Again, for some of y'all who are being lenient with your children, letting them hang out late, make sure that again at a certain time they bring themselves inside. Because again, there's nothing going on outside at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Again, I know some of them about to be out of school now in the city, but again, even this summer, make sure your kids are not getting into any situations where they can end up getting arrested or worse. And on the long run, it really is supposed to be about protection of the younger generation. And if we are not keeping that blueprint of trying to keep them protected, or at least trying to, hold them to a high standard of living, then it's always going to be a problem. Again, everybody has to be active, everybody has to work together. But, just you want to not hear too many of those same sad stories. So, again, it is imperative for you parents nowadays to, again, stop trying to be friends with your children and start placing the boundaries and the rules down the way you're supposed to. And again, start placing curfews. I've always felt like this. If again you're not working a after school job, or if you're not doing something where you would be required to be coming home late, you shouldn't be out all hours of the night, because 9 out of 10, something bad happens, I'm going to be the one that's responsible. And again, that's a trauma that no parent should ever have to worry about. Knowing that they have teens, or knowing that they have preteens, and these preteens end up getting into a real bad situation where they can't come back from it. You don't want your kid to be another victim of circumstance as far as the judicial system, or them being a victim of circumstance due to being at the wrong places at the wrong times. Got to start bringing the checks and balances back, you know? All in all, though, just wanted to chime in and see how the people was doing. Um, I know there's some people live right now. I'm gonna have to catch some replays. I'm gonna try to do something tomorrow. Well, I should say today. I'm gonna try to do something later today. If not, give or take, I'll do something Friday. Oh, I'm gonna drop the panel link in case anybody want to chime in. And again, apologies for those who was in the vertical. If you couldn't hear me, I don't know what the hell happened with vertical on my end. I'm not gonna be breaking my neck to do so. So just know I'll be coming back and forth, with the good vibes. And again, make sure that y'all try to do the best you possibly can to keep your kids out of severe danger. I got another conversation I'm gonna bring up, and I'm gonna drop the panel link in case anybody want to chime in on that convo. Um, Again, there's levels to things, and we got to start reaching the right levels so we could get the right results. Um, all in all, though, appreciate everybody that tuned in. Appreciate everybody that rocked out. I wasn't going to be on too long. Just a quick check in with the people. For those again celebrating birthdays this week, we did not forget about you. We really didn't forget about you. So give me 1 second. Again, may God give y'all another year around the sun. Enjoy every moment. Keep creating memories. And again, if you was able to see another year healthy and all, give your praises where it's due. Like I said, I could be back later this afternoon. If not, definitely Friday I'm gonna do something. And for those who might not be subbed up to the backup channel, make sure you're doing so. Um, I'll most likely drop the link, but yeah, you know. Ah, snap! Happy birthday, sis. Oh, you 3 days after my aunt. Ah, snap! There you go, Gemini season of ring. And hopefully you enjoy yourself, sis. Another year and another blessing, and try to enjoy everything. Appreciate you, Angela, baby. But yeah, let me get myself up out of here. Again, if I'm not back this afternoon, I could do something Friday. Um, I'm gonna do a little mix up. But yeah, let me get myself up out of here. It's almost time to leave this plantation. But yeah, um, hopefully y'all enjoy the rest of your mornings. I know it's still evening on the West Coast. Um, we'll be back at it. And apologies for the disappearance, but life really been lifing. So yeah, it's usually about this time. Yeah, you might get less from me. But also for those who was following me on TikTok and still follow me on TikTok, got a surprise for y'all as well too. So like I said, got some things I got to start doing. But I'm gonna also make sure I'm giving y'all the best I'm gonna give y'all. So again, for those celebrating this Gemini season, just keep yourselves healthy and whole, and again, enjoy every moment of it. If y'all was new to the channel, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout outs to the replay game. Shout outs to the Shadow Mafia and the Shadow Babies. Y'all know what it is, baby. For everybody that was in attendance tonight, you already know that love is love and it'll be reciprocated as such. I don't know how to be fake. All I can do is give you real. And that's all I'm gonna do is give you real topics and real builds. Oh, you already know, sis. You already know. You know, it's a good thing that you enjoying another year and that you in good health, like most of the people, you know. Try to make the best of every moment. Celebrate and just enjoy life. You only get one life in this shell of a body. So try to do the best you can and leave the best imprints that you can in life. And I'll definitely be back, you know. But y'all stay safe. You keep that third eye open. And until the next live, we out of here. Peace and blessings.